Racing to the 2020 Kentucky Derby continues. This time, let's take a look at the second division of the Arkansas Derby. Goes as race number 13 on the first Saturday in May. You can also catch a preview of the first division of the Arkansas Derby. That is available online. And let's start out at the rail. This is a horse you want to keep an eye on. It's Finnick The Fierce. And Finnick The Fierce is one of those lovable horses in horse racing. He has just the one eye, and Finnick The Fierce. 6 starts, 2 wins. Had a nice second in the Kentucky Jockey Club. Second to Silver Prospector, who's also in this race. But he did defeat Tis the Law as he rallied late down the outside in the slop and picked up a second place finish. He's a son of Dialed In. You know, he's been running evenly this year, and he's still capable of improving at 15-1. I think a horse like Finnick The Fierce, if this race falls apart or just by saving ground, he might be able to get in that superfecta number. Saratogian debuted as a well-bet first down, first-timer by Empire Maker. He went off at 8-1 at Tampa Bay, picked up the win, an 84 Brisnet speed figure, and then was kind of thrown into an allowance, non-winners of 1. Did disappoint a little bit. Money Moves is a nice horse trained by Todd Pletcher. It seems like this is not going to be the spot to get him back on track. Smokin' Joe Talamo rides, 50-1 on the morning line, but just facing other pace pressure. He's got a ship. He's got to go 2 turns, 9 furlongs, and that last race was just kind of a disappointing effort with really no excuse. Saratogian, a 50-1 shot on the board. Storm the Court, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner and Juvenile champion after a kind of a weirdly won stakes race that day. The track was a little bit funky. A couple of horses didn't show. And he came back and ran an even 4th in his first race of the year to Nadal. Nadal is also in this race. We'll talk about him and most likely the race favorite. Then he ran an even 3rd in the San Felipe to Authentic and Honor AP. Those two are probably 2 of the top 10 contenders for the Kentucky Derby, along with Tis the Law and Nadal. So, you know, he's faced good horses. He's ran evenly. He continues to train well. And 3 workouts in April. I think Storm the Court, you know, his best race is capable, but I'm not sure he's going to fire his best race on a race like this with a full field, shipping in, and having to negotiate you know, just a lot of that mid-race traffic, especially if the horses start to spread out. Now, King Guillermo, this is a horse on the upside. He went off at 50-1, and most of the time when a 50-1 wins, you kind of ignore them in their next race. But King Guillermo, the son of Uncle Mo, he was just overlooked on that board that day. He had ran a couple of nice races. He'd actually won by 6 lengths and then ran to Sol Volante, who had already proven that that was a nice horse. And for him to be 50-1 in the Tampa Bay Derby, that was probably a little bit of an overlay, but he just kind of dominated that race. Going into the turn, you knew he was going to win it. And Sol Volante still ended up closing, but he won by 4 lengths, and his workouts since then have been top-notch. He's continued to train well. He was actually pointing for the first Saturday in May. He was going to run in the Kentucky Derby. With that getting rescheduled, he just wheels right here into the Oaklawn Race 2 division. And I think a horse like King Guillermo is one you want to take a good shot at. He's got the foundation. He's got 4 lifetime races. He's got the pedigree. And he's got a speed figure, a 102 Brisnet, that puts him right in the mix. And he could just be overlooked because of that upset victory the last time. Nadal is your race favorite. 3 wins, 3 starts. Picked up a maiden victory as a big favorite. He's been favored in all 3 of his races, and he went low odds in both pools 3 and 4 of the Kentucky Derby Future Wager. He's by blame. Sometimes those horses don't stick around as long, and they can kind of go in and out of form. Pulpit also adds a little bit of mystery to the broodmare side as far as constitution and soundness. But, you know, that he just doesn't look like a finisher. He's a big horse. He weighs over 1,300 pounds, according to the track. And, you know, he's built a little bit more like a sprinter. He carries a lot of weight. He's ran impressively, a 94, a 96, and a 95. Last time out, he gutted out a win all the way around against the long shot Accession. He did open up, and then he kind of just, Accession was coming into him late. Nadal is one that, you know, I'm not as confident of him as I am of Charlatan in these 2 divisions. Take a long look at this horse. I guess if you really like somebody else, you may want to take a shot. Code Runner has 8 lifetime races. He's by Honor Code. It's his first crop. Nice win in his most recent race at Sam Houston and ran at Sunland and Remington Park last fall. Kind of a long shot with a little bit of an interesting pedigree, 50-1 on the morning line. Silver Prospector, just kind of flattened out the last time in the Rebel Stakes. That was a sloppy track. Now, he did pick up a win in the Kentucky Jockey Club Juvenile Stakes in the slop. What's interesting about Mr. Prospector, he came from off the pace a little bit in the Southwest. I think he's a deep run closer. If he can just lay back, I think he's the type of horse that could pick up the pieces here. If he tries to run closer to a pace at 9 furlongs, I think he's kind of just going to flatten out. So Silver Prospector, he may have just needed a little bit of a bounce effort. He had ran in the Smarty Jones and in the Southwest Stakes and then tried to run in the Rebel, and it's tough to run in all 4 races. Fast Enough is a fast Kentucky bred by Eddington and Bertrando. Of course, Eddington was trained by Mark Henning back in the day and ran in the same Belmont Stakes as Smarty Jones when he tried to win the Triple Crown. Tyler Bayes, 12-1 morning line. He ran 3rd in that Nadal race with Ginobili. And, he may like to stretch out here. Going to try to go 2 turns again. He did win the Kale Cup Derby last year at 8.5 furlongs. So kind of interesting horse at a price. Tyshawn ran evenly against Mr. Big News in the Oaklawn Stakes, so he got an automatic berth here. The Twirling Candies are always interesting. They can fire some big races. I'm just not so sure he's still improving. 2 back, he ran a 97 Brisnet speed figure, and that puts him in the mix, but I think that could be kind of an arc for him, and he's going to run more evenly. Farmington Road ran evenly 2 times back, ran wide against the bias 2 races ago, and then finished up strongly against Mr. Big News. But that race fell apart, and I'm not so sure we're going to get as fast of fractions. They were 26 points faster at the first call, 16 points faster at the second call that day. And Farmington Road, I think he'll like the distance. The quality roads continue to run well. But Farmington Road, be interesting to see what he does more in an evenly run pace, but he does seem to have a good shot. Wells Bayou ran an outstanding race in the Southwest Stakes 2 back, set all the fractions, went faster than par at the second call, and then came back and ran fast in the Louisiana Derby. That was at a longer distance. Now he shortens up, but he visibly looked tired at the end of that Louisiana Derby. Now he's had plenty of time to regroup since that race, but the outside post position, facing other speed, I'm not so sure he's need the lead type. I think he likes to run more forwardly, and I think he would appreciate some slower fractions. But he is the type of horse that if you don't want the lead, he'll take it. So Wells Bayou definitely could be the controlling speed here if Nadal wants to rate a little bit. An interesting division of the Arkansas Derby goes as race 13. Also catch the preview of race number 11. We'll also preview the Oaklawn Handicap this week as well. Who do you like in the 13th race, Arkansas Division 2? Leave a comment below, hit subscribe, and remember, we'll lead you up to the 2020 Kentucky Derby.